EC2 dashboard, and whatever the services which you are seeing all comes to the compute domain. So under compute domain, we have all these services. Let's look at each and every dashboards and options what we have. See, in the EC2 dashboard, here we have different options. So here basically you will get to know the number of services, I mean the status of the services. If they are running, or how many instances we have, and how many dedicated ports we have, like what are the how many key pairs we have created, elastic IPs, load balancers. Mostly compute related info we get in this page. And come to EC2 global view, we'll see what exactly we see now. So till now, we were saying EC2 is a region specific, correct? EC2 is a region specific. It is not a global one. But still, we are seeing an option called global view. If we just go ahead and click on this global view, here we will get to know what are all the regions we are available across the globe, and how many resources we have used, right? So, and how many subnets we have created, and how many security groups we have created, how many VPCs we have created across all the regions in a globe, right? So this is a global structure here we see. So here we can see what are all the available regions in a global structure, and what are all the services we have used. In short, this is a when you say in EC2 dashboard view, we'll be able to see only region-specific details. Please understand, EC2 dashboard, we see region-specific details. When you say EC2 global view, you'll be able to see all the details of all the available regions. Correct? Yes or no? So these kind of things you'll be able to see. Events, tags, probably you can ignore. If there are some events, you can see here. And tags in the sense, if you have created any tags, and if you have associated any values to it, you can see these tags as well. Tags in the sense, when you're creating an instance, or in auto scaling, while performing some actions on auto scaling, we had an option of tag, right? Where tag is an option which will help us to notify the resources. If it is a EC2, we'll just say EC2, or if it is something else, we can mention that one. And limit, we can go through it. Okay. So when you say limit, this particular page will talk about what is the current limit of a particular resource. If it is a launch configuration options, so what like how many auto scaling groups I can create in a particular region. So you can go through them. So we have many options which are related to compute domain. So if it is load balancer, you can select this one, network load balancer. The current limit of network load balancer would be 50, and you can create 3000 target groups. So these kind of limits you can see under this option. So once again, I'm reiterating, whatever the options we are seeing here, these are all related to compute resources. So network load balancer comes under compute resources. Target group comes under compute resources. So similarly, EC2 is also comes under your compute resources. So that's the reason you are seeing all this info here. Is this clear? So we are trying to get familiar with the available options. We should not be missing most of our learning. Okay. So this is about EC2 dashboard. So EC2 dashboard will talk about the resources with respect to particular region. EC2 global view will talk about the resources across the globe, which means it can list the available 23 regions resources as well. Events, if there are any events are occurred, or if there are any past events, those events can be seen. Tax influences, these are the tags which will help us to identify the resources and limits. So we can see the compute resources limits as well. So which means if there are any limits, or if there are any higher value or lower value to the corresponding resources, we can see there. And this is about dashboard. And coming to instance. So in instance, we have many options. Let us see. Instance. See, whatever we are talking, it is completely related to your, certification. So I request all of you to pay your attention. So irrespective of the status of instances, whether it is running or stopped or terminated, if you just click here, it will show the number of instances which we have created across a particular region. And instance type refers, so as we mentioned, so t2.micro, c5.log, c5.xlog. So these based on number of virtual CPUs and the required memory, right? So that's what the instance type defines how many number of virtual CPUs needed and how many kind of RAM capacity you need. So based on this, we will judge our instance type. So here we have 560 instance types. So you can select based on your requirement. So once again, instance type defines your the number of virtual CPUs needed as well as your number of RAM needed. So if your application is, if your application is high performance one and you need more memory, then definitely you need to go with the higher configuration. For example, you should go with M5X large or M5A16 large, right? So here we'll get 256 gigabyte of memory, and here you can see 64. Virtual CPU. 64 virtual CPU is very good, right? So 64 into 2, these many parallel processing will happen. So this is quite a big configuration. So similarly, you can go ahead and search. So in this option, you can see the available, the possible uh, instance types. So probably you can just refer this and please get familiar with these, naming convention and the instance type. And also at least you should have some little knowledge on the number of virtual CPUs and the memory. And also you should also think of network performance and all those, things. So it's better. And also please look at the pricing also. So if I just use it, so while suggesting some instance type to your client, you should be very much cautious, and you should also think of the cost. Otherwise, we'll be ending up by getting huge monthly usage, and definitely we will end up with getting we'll definitely will have to pay more amount for this particular usage. So I request all of you to just analyze your current infrastructure. So before choosing it, just try to get the network performance and how many input output requests are getting in, and like what is the current infrastructure, like how much of RAM is needed, like how many parallel processing are happening. So these things should be taken care. This is about instant time. And coming to launch template, these things we have already seen. So this is kind of a template. So with the help of this, we'll be able to create our EC2 instance, right? So, and the same can be used under auto scaling as well. So in under auto scaling, we have launch configuration. So as here you can see this will be probably they are going to eliminate this one probably at the end of December. So better we'll start turning uh, launch template instead of launch configuration. And here we have something called as spot request. What do you mean by spot request? So spot requests are made to get some spot instances. Spot requests are which will help us to create a spot instances. What do you mean by spot instances? See, basically, when you look for some instances for a long time, we can customize our virtual CPUs. For example, if I just select, uh, and let me try to create one instance. Please let me know if you see any issues here. Let's try to understand one by one. So let's say if you are creating an instance, here you have an option of selection of instance type, correct? So here we'll say t2.micro or whatever the instance type which we are looking for. See here, these are all predefined ones. We'll not be able to change the configuration. If t2.micro is giving one virtual CPU and 1 gigabyte of memory, So, and the next version, if it is giving 4 GB of RAM, 62.medium is giving 4 GB of RAM and 2 virtual CPU, then I'll not be able to edit in between. So whatever the preserved one are there, so I should be able to use them. So I cannot modify the existing configuration if I go with the standard instance type. Whereas the spot instances will be dedicated to you, and it will be available for less cost compared to on-demand EC2 instances, on-demand instances. What I mean to say, these are all on-demand ones, so which means these are all created with some purpose. But if you still need to customize your hardware, then here we have an option. So these are all dedicated ones and which will be allocated to you, right? So here you can select your number of RAM, kind of virtual CPUs and all, and you can also say so the minimum will be some value you can give, and maximum you can give this one, and it will try to get necessary hardware specifications within your specification based on your specifications. So this is about your spot instances. Basically, we don't. I mean, usually we don't use them, but still, let us try to learn all the available options. Next, what else we have? Saving plan. So it's always advisable to purchase. See, there are three types. One is first we will pay upfront cost. What do you mean by upfront cost? When I say upfront cost, all the possible cost for a particular year. So we will directly first we will invest the money to purchase those hardware, and we'll set up our infrastructure. Correct. So typically, if in our case, if you want to have a computer, we'll go to the shop and we'll buy. We'll tell our specifications and we'll purchase a particular computer. So this is something called as upfront cost. And later we have some other options where we can pay half of the amount in middle. Okay, we can pay half of the amount in the beginning, and rest of the thing, and I will say AWS that okay, we'll pay rest of the things at the middle of the year. This is one option, and the third option will be I will not be using anything. I mean, I'll not be investing anything upfront. Instead, whatever the amount which will be coming as part of monthly usage, I'll be able to do that. So here probably you can estimate, you can select your instance type. For example, you can select 1 year or 3 year, right? And you can also just try to restrict your probably say $200 and select your payment options. Let's say if you are giving all upfront, it will just calculate some amount and it will show here. And so kind of these kind of calculations, you must be aware of it, but definitely this can be handled by a senior architect. But it is good to know this savings plan. So if somebody asks you to have, can we get a savings plan of let's see if your requirement is to have your servers for 1 year or 2 year or 3 year, and if it is going beyond 3 years also, you can always discuss with Amazon, or you can always discuss with professionals from AWS, and we can get a good deals out of it. That is also possible. Okay, so just have little hands-on, so you will get to know on this. What else we have? So similarly, just I think these are all a dedicated host, in the sense we will be getting a separate hardware, right? So which see, we know that whatever the hardware which we are using, these are all shareable, right? Whereas, whereas if you request for dedicated host, then a particular whatever the hardware specification we ask for, each and every specification will be maintained by AWS, and there will be dedicated host, which means dedicated hardware will be allocated to your uh, organization or for your use. So you can just go through some of the options. And coming to images, these are all the AMIs we have seen. So we know if you have created any images of a particular instance, then you'll be able to see these particular options. I don't know about Catalog. So if you look at Elastic Block Store, this Block Store will have the info about the number of volumes which you have created. We can also create, when we are launching our application or when we are launching our EC2 instance, a volume, a base volume, a root volume will be attached to your EC2 instance. On top of it, you can create multiple volumes and you can attach it to your EC2 instance. Please note that whatever the volumes here we are using, these are all called Elastic Block Store volumes and EBS volume. This can be used with the help of EC2 instance only. You cannot make use of this particular EC2. I mean, you cannot make use of these volumes without EC2 instance. So this is kind of a, you can say this is one of our drawback. Also, you can say of EBS. But again, each and every service will have their own purpose. So if you have to attach some volumes to your instances or your host, so it is a good option to use EBS volume. Okay, and snapshot we have seen as and when we create an image, so particular snapshots also gets created under EBS volume. So these things we have seen it. I think we have one shot. So let me try to delete it. And the lifecycle manager, I have not covered it. So I will be covering them probably in upcoming sessions. And coming to network and security, so here you can see that security groups. So security groups kind of a firewall rules which you are defining. So where you can see number of inbound rules and outbound rules to your auto scaling groups or to your EC2 instances which you have seen. And placement group will come later. And here you can see key pairs. So whatever the key pairs we have created, here you can have a list of the key pairs. And what is network interface? So this is very much important. For example, you have created 100 resources. Let's say you have 100 EC2 instances. Out of see, just a second. I don't know if you have most of. I mean, we don't have much knowledge on VPC till now. I think we will discuss that. So once we know about VPC, then it is good to, I mean, it will be easier to understand network interface. Just remind me, so we will look into it probably later sessions. And coming to load balancer, so load balancer, we had detailed discussions about this, and we have created a classic network and application load balancer, and also we customized everything, and we have seen it. And target groups, yes. So in application load balancer and classic load balancer, we must have a target group. So EC2 instances are registered under target group. Target group will communicate to a load balancer, and the end user will connect to load balancer. Correct? So this is how it works. And auto scaling in essence, launch. We have two steps here. First of all, before creating the auto scaling group, we must create a launch configuration. Launch configuration or launch template will talk about the instances which we are creating as part of the auto scaling group. And when we create auto scaling, these options will have, when we create auto scaling group, we will be creating a load balancer and we'll be creating target group, and automatically instances get attached to this particular target group, and that will be taken care by auto scaling group. Right? This is just I just summarize what we learned. Any questions here? Okay. Are there any questions?